the thighs and the legs go immediately, and then I'm stuck with white meat for like a couple of minutes. I just don't like this.
You guys aren't doing stand-up 3 hours quickly, right?
I don't have enough for steak.
How are you?
I have a gas grill.
Hi, we're trying to be good neighbors.
Oh, really?
Not really.
He went back to state college.
Just a bit, but not a little bit.
Or you save a third of it.
I'm just having guess that was not a lot. Double shifts.
I jammed stuff in the top cavity. And I sewed the top shut with kebab that was like, I have 5
Good. Just need more butter.
You guys good? 1, 2, 3, 4. House Radio TV. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody good? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. House Radio TV. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. I think this is the fun.
Greg says hi. Greg Kaplan's here. Chicken with us on parties.
There's only one more home game. I can't believe Penn State's only got.
No, so I think that might be Stu, because it'll be Speaker Ryan.
12:15. Yeah, 12:15.
Oh, for the financial services one?
Oh, no, that's a 3:20 can.
Oh, that's a 320 Canada. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Was he just like you guys were just thinking?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize you. I work
Yeah.
with.
That's good. So He was watching a lot of daytime soaps. Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives. Is Days of Our Lives? It's gonna be the longest running American TV. Days of Our Lives. Yeah. That, Days of Our Lives, minutes.
2 minutes.
Stop. Scalzo. Stop. Stop.
I'm done.
This has been a great week in the People's House. We just completed the work on a bipartisan highway bill. It cuts waste. It prioritizes good infrastructure. It will help create good paying jobs. And it is the result of a more open process. Over these last 4 days, the House has debated more amendments than in the last 4 months combined. On this bill, Chairman Schuster worked through more than 100 amendments on the floor. When his father had this bill on the floor in 1998, there were 5 amendments. This is a good start. It's a glimpse of how we should be doing the people's business. But we still have a ways to go. This morning, the House Republican Conference held a policy conference to discuss the weeks ahead. Most notably, the government runs out of money on December 11th. Normally, we wouldn't be talking about this yet. It's November. I'm sure someone somewhere would be writing a bill. But only when the deadline approaches would anyone actually see the legislation. At that point, the bill would be pre-negotiated and the outcome predetermined. That's no way to conduct the people's business. So here's what we're going to do. The House has already passed 6 appropriation bills. Negotiations on those bills are already underway. As for the remaining bills, Chairman Rogers of the Appropriations Committee and his members will hold a series of executive sessions with our members. At these sessions, every member will have the chance to review each bill and give their input on their priorities. We've never done this before, but that's how we should work. And now on, that's how we will work. Questions? Do me a favor. I know who most of you are, but just give me the name and who you're with so I get that down.
I'm Emma Dumaine with DQ Roll Call. I wanted to ask you, on the floor just now, your whips were asking a question. Did they support bringing back up the Financial Services Appropriation Bill as a standalone? And if it came to the floor, would they vote for it? What's the thinking behind that? And how likely is it that we would see a standalone appropriations bill move through the process in advance of December 11th?
Right, so things are going to be done a little differently around here. We are going to open up this process. So I laid before our conference today a choice of options. Instead of having leadership predetermine, pre-negotiate, and pre-decide how things are going to go, I wanted to invite our members of the conference to discuss how we move forward. We've got a tight deadline with appropriations. We're already past the fiscal year. So because we want to reopen the appropriations process, because we want to bring the Article I powers back, the power of the purse, back to the legislative branch, we're trying to figure out exactly how to do that. So instead of me deciding in the Capitol how it's going to be, I wanted to lay out options in front of our conference so that together we could deliberate and decide. That's what our conference is about. And so we are asking our members how they want to proceed going forward. I don't know the results of that whip. They're still tallying it right now. But again, that is how this is going to be. We're going to make this a more open process, and our members are going to have a say-so early in the process on how we move forward. Chad.
Thank you. You, even before you got into the speaker's race, had expressed some skepticism of what you were hearing back from Asia on the trade bill. We saw your statement this morning now. You worked so hard to get the trade, the framework through. If that falls through, something you don't feel you can accept at the end of the day, once you get into the fine print here, does it put you in kind of a crosswind because you fought so hard for that? And on one hand, you were hoping that the administration would help you pass that, and on the other hand, you're criticizing the administration on immigration. So is that...
Hey, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Something tells me they're going to criticize us and compliment us on any given day. Trade is very important for America. It is absolutely essential that America write the rules of the global economy instead of others writing the rules of the global economy. They just sent the text this morning. So we have a lot of work to do to review this agreement. And we do not rubber stamp anything around here, let alone trade agreements. So because I was the co-author of the TPA process, the American people will now get a chance to see what's in these trade agreements, in addition to the representatives in Congress being able to see it. It's the most transparent and open process we've ever had in considering trade agreements. So I don't know the answer to what my position is on a trade agreement. I have not even yet read, because we just got it this morning. But again, I'm pleased with the process we have coming before us. Open, transparent, people get to see it, members of Congress get to see it, and then we'll decide independently, after consulting with our constituents and our conscience, what our position on anything like a trade agreement will be. Yeah. Let me know, just.
Terry Pickett,
Yeah.
caller. Can you talk about the issues that you plan to elevate to highlight the differences between the Republicans and the Democrats? And also, could you also talk about what kind of issues that you plan to use to assist the eventual Republican nominee for president?
Yeah, so like I said earlier on, we don't like the direction America is heading. We think the president and his policies have taken America down the wrong path. And so we feel that we have a moral obligation to our constituents and to our fellow citizens to offer a better way forward. And so in the next weeks and months, we together as a Republican conference, in consultation with our friends in the Senate, are going to be offering alternatives. We're going to be developing those alternatives. I'm not going to do those unilaterally. These are something we're going to do organically in a bottom-up approach here in the House Republican Conference. And so on all the big issues of the day, jobs, the economy, poverty, national security, defense, we're going to be offering our alternatives and what we believe is the best way forward. And that's a process that's going to take many months.
Can you talk about your relationship with the president and how, I'm sure you studied that as his former opponent on the ticket, as an observer here, seeing how he interacted with Speaker Boehner. What do you expect to do differently? Have you spoken to him, met with him? Give us a sense of your relationship with the president.
Well, we know each other. And yes, I did run against him in the last election, but I'm not, I'm a person that can get along with people. I like people who believe passionately in things, even if they're not the things I agree with. So I generally, as a general matter, enjoy people who fight passionately for what they believe in, again, even if it's not what I believe in. So I've always had a good way of getting along with people on the other side of the aisle. We have spoken. We have not met in person. He's overseas right now, I believe. So we've had a couple of conversations on the phone, pretty courteous conversations, and that's about it. Look.
There's been real movement in the Senate on criminal justice reform. Last month, Chairman Goodlatte, Mr. Conyers put forward a House version of criminal justice reform. Do you foresee criminal justice reform happening by the end of this Congress when you commit to putting it on the floor?
Well, I'm not going to commit to floor actions because that's something I want to make jointly with our members of our caucus. I personally am in favor of criminal justice reform. I supported those. I put those in a plan that I put out as budget chair of co-sponsored bills before I came Speaker. So it's an issue that I think needs attending to, but we're going to have the House work its will. We're going to work through the committee process, like I mentioned, and the committee, as you discussed, is already working on these issues. So that is an issue I think we should be addressing.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I'm Bob Costantini with Western One News. The President and the administration has put out the idea that it is studying where to place Guantanamo detainees and the possibility of the President taking whatever executive action he thinks he can to try to live up to his promise to close that facility. What are your thoughts about that right now? And over on the Senate side, by the way, Senator McCain, who thinks Guantanamo should be closed, has put out the idea that the administration should study.
Well, I think Guantanamo detainees should be in Guantanamo. I would refer you to the defense authorization committees. We're passing the NDAA. So I would refer you to the legislation and Mac Thornberry for any further answer to that. Over here. I can't hear you. Oh.
How realistic do you think it is that Planned Parenthood could be defunded in the omnibus, and can you make any kind of commitment that the government won't shut down this country?
I'm not going to predetermine the outcome of negotiations that have not even taken place yet. I don't think Planned Parenthood should get 1 red cent from the taxpayer. That's been my position for a long time, even before I saw these gruesome videos. That's point number 1. Point number 2, we also have a reconciliation process underway. And we have defunded Planned Parenthood through the reconciliation process, which is our best chance and opportunity of actually getting a bill on the president's desk. So we are moving on Planned Parenthood on multiple fronts, not to mention the fact that we have a select committee through the Commerce Committee that is being assembled to look into these issues. How about over here?
Mr. Speaker, Jared Halpern with Fox News Radio. How's your relationship with Leader McConnell? We've seen in this year sometimes the House working pretty separately from the Senate. Curious if you want to change that.
I do. I actually attended their policy lunch this last Tuesday. Some of you were there. That was a great start. A lot of those folks are friends of mine who served here in the House. I've invited Leader McConnell to come over to our House Republican Conference and to address our conference and to enjoy what we call open mic period. So he's taken me up on my invitation. So he's going to be coming and speaking with our conference when we return from this district work period.
Mr. Speaker, Mike Emanuel from Fox. You joked over the weekend that your honeymoon might be about 35 minutes long. Is it over, or how's it going?
Probably. I don't think you get a lot of honeymoons for things like this. Look, this was not a job I was looking for or seeking. It kind of sought me. I realized that it was a duty and an obligation. Now I realize it's an honor. And it's an honor that I have this responsibility and this opportunity to serve. And the way I am trying to do this job is the way that I always thought it should have been done. And that is to make this a more open process so that every citizen in this country, through their elected representatives, has an opportunity to make a difference. That is the people's house. This is the branch of government closest to the people. And so I wanted to have a process that is more open, more inclusive, more deliberative, more participatory, and that's what we're trying to do. That's why I'm saying things are going to be done a little differently. The whip we just had on the floor that you were asking me about appropriations is a decision we have left up to the members of our caucus. That's kind of how I want to do things. I've got to tell you, bills will come up that may not pass. We're not going to bottle up the process so much and predetermine the outcome of everything around here. I want the House to work its will. I think that's the way the founders envisioned it to work. And so that means some things will pass and some things won't, and we're going to let that happen.
Last question, guys.
Todd Bullock with Public Radio, another appropriations question. In 2013, 33,000 Americans died from gunshot wounds, 85,000 were injured, roughly the same rate as automobiles. The House HHS appropriations bill continues this decades-old ban on the CDC from studying gunshots as a public health issue. Do you think it's appropriate to continue that ban?
I'll refer you to the appropriators and Tom Cole, the chairman of the subcommittee.
But you have a position on Planned Parenthood.
I think the Second Amendment is an individual right, and the Supreme Court has recently affirmed that. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Heather. Here? Here? More? I moved it up. Okay.